Welcome back, everybody, and that's today's video. We're not really going to do any work on it per se, but this is our new project. That's my mom's car. I just bought it for about probably 3 months now. Still waiting on a title, but you know, might as well consider it paid for. 02 Pontiac Grand Am SE, and as you can see through the windshield, it's got the typical curl issue that the dashboards have, so I'm in the market for one. Trying to locate one so I can get that fixed. Got to do the tint on the windows. Those have to come off, so we'll do a video on how to remove tint from your windows. Not too bad, really. Kind of zoom back a little bit so you can get a better view of it here. Sorry about the different camera views there. I'm trying to find one that works. Not bad on the back. Taillight's busted on the back here. The not only is the lens broke, but the circuit board's chewed up for the lights. So we're going to do a video on replacing your tail light. We just have to do the passenger side. The driver's side's fine. This cut has the when you put it in reverse, those lights in the bumper light up, but the lights up on there don't. So if anybody knows how that works, please let me know. So yeah, here's the rest of it. Not too bad. Yeah, it's got a brake issue. I've driven it a little bit while I was waiting on the title, and it's kind of doing the chunk thing on the brakes. So we're going to be looking at those today. Take a look inside. See right there. There's our dashboard. I've already got the little bit of tint off the windshield. As you can see, I've got to wash it because it's still sticky. So typical Pontiac things. Yeah, this has got just the power locks, manual windows. Not too bad. Neighbor owned it. She drove it back and forth to work, and then when she retired, stopped driving it. So it's been sitting for about 7 years. 6 or 7 years, maybe less. Mom's blanket. Came back with me from New York this year. And here's the back. Not too bad. Seats are perfect, see? I'll show you the seats here. Seats are perfect. Yes, not a spot in them. Very nice, very nice. Has the power trunk lock on the door. So let's see if we can get the power trunk to work. See, our interior is in really good shape. Needs to be vacuumed, and we'll do a detailing video maybe. It's got the full gauge package. See the gauges there. Pretty nice car. We're getting a different radio. That one's screwed up. Got your console there. I got this apart because of the mirror control. The mirror piece is broke. So what we're going to do is, since I've got to pull the dashboard out, we're going to do a mirror upgrade on this car. We're going to full power mirrors in this car, so she'll have power door locks and power mirrors. We're going to leave the windows cranked down for obvious reasons. Push our button in our door and our trunk pops open. Look at that, ain't that nice? Yep. So people say you can tell what's going on in the trunk. Well, this is what's going on in this trunk. We got our 530 oil, but I'm not going to use that because I don't know how old it is. They got the wrong filter because they were getting ready to do an oil change on this car, and that didn't work out for us too well. Got a coolant issue, so we're going to address the coolant. We got to fix our we got to go out to the wrecking yard and get us a cover here. This one's got our service parts tag on it, so we'll cut that off and we'll put that in the glove box. This does not have the fold down seat in it that I can tell. Some of these did. Of course, this is where we're going to access the back of our light when we get ready to do that. So here's your trunk. Not too big. Then again, you don't need it to be. In case you didn't know, if your trunk lock don't work, check that switch right there. Make sure it's turned on. That's your automatic trunk lockout. If you turn this switch off, your automatic trunk button won't work. So I'll have to see if I can pull that seat back. Let's open up the door here, take a look. Not that it matters because Mom has a truck, but you know. Oh, it's got the things in the back for your car seat. So, let's take a look at the engine in this bad boy. And then we'll tear the front brakes down and see which rotor's making noise. Not bad for a walk around, huh? We got a new tripod today, so we're going to be trying that out. Had to get a new one because the other one got broke. Snapped the head off of it. I'm surprised my phone didn't get broke. My phone was sitting in the cradle when it happened. So that's what we got here, and then if we want to, we can unscrew this piece here. We have a telescope that comes up like this. So I can do this. We're going to open the hood real quick, so I'll get that done and I'll be right back. There you go. What do you think about that? Not a 3100 like a lot of people would think, or a 3400 because he's had both engines. No, we have a 2.2 Ecotec. Yes, this is a rare bird. Very rare. Only one I've ever seen. Needs an oil change. So, what have we got plans for it down here? Well, we're going to wash this all up because, you know, it's all dusty and dirty and crap. And we're going to go and take that cover off right over here because that's where your spark plugs live on this engine. We're going to check our plugs out. 105,000, we're probably going to change them. But we're going to wait till I run out all the bad gas first. This thing's got a half a tank of gas in it I got to get rid of. So, as soon as I get rid of that, then we'll put fresh gas in it, we'll put a brand new fuel filter on it, and then we'll start doing some serious engine work on this thing. So, allegedly it's got a coolant leak. So let's check our fluid level. I put fluid in here not long ago and I've only moved it a little bit, so. On the good side, because this is a 2.2, everything's easy to work on. So, timing set over here looks like I could get to that fairly easily. Let's see if we still have any coolant in our coolant tank. Yeah, it's still full. So we still have coolant in our coolant tank. We're going to change out all the hoses anyway because, you know, the car's been sitting for a while. Always a good idea to change your belts and hoses on a car you just bought, along with the oil. We're going to have to do the brakes on this car because even though they stop, they thump. So we're going to have to do brakes, which is okay because we are going to do brakes on it anyway. We got a push pin to retrieve for the front grille here. We got to reset our headlights. It'll get washed again, so we're going to give it a good wash. Let's see here. Purge valve looks good. This takes a cartridge filter, so your oil filter sits down there like on an Equinox. Put a new battery in it. This is your fuse box back here. Let's check our brakes. Oh, our brake fluid's low. Oh man, it's in between the max and min, so I'm betting we're probably going to have to put brakes on it anyway. We're going to get doing that here in just a minute. We're going to take the brakes loose. We're going to press the piston in and see if we have good calipers on the front. And then we'll get a list made of stuff that I need to get for this car so we can start putting it together. Let's see, power steering fluid's right here, so let's check our power steering fluid. It's up and it looks good, so we're good there. It says it needs an oil change. Oil change indicator's on. So let's look at our oil, even though we're going to change it. Looks decent. And it looks like it needs to be changed. There's no water in it, so we don't have to worry about head gasket on this car, which is a relief for me. Yeah, we got some hoses that have rotted here, so we're going to replace this piece of hose here. Any rubber lines, we got a T-line down here that we're going to change because it's a little soft. It goes off the thermostat, hooks onto the lower radiator here, and then the other end of it ties up over here to the reservoir. So this is our main line right here going to our radiator. Then we've got a bypass line here that we're going to have to replace. We're going to do this upper hose. We're going to do this back hose here. This is a vent hose, which is ridiculous. It shouldn't even be there. And then of course we have our information here for our emissions if we need to go down that road with it. I think the fuel filter on this sits underneath over by the fuel tank. I don't know a whole lot about Pontiacs, but let me go get my toolkit and we'll jack this puppy up and we'll take a look at these wheels. Okay, we're down here on the wheel here. Yeah, it's dry rotted. Yeah, I'm putting new tires on it eventually. So, got these wonderful little caps on here. You got to be very careful when you take these off because you'll break them. I got some I need to repaint. I also noticed after I got looking at it that this bottom spoiler over here, I'm missing the center section, so I need to get one of those too. So, this is how I like to take these caps off. I just like to kind of do this. But you got to do this all the way around. I wish this had the rally wheels, but you know, it's not a GT, it's just an SE. And just grab the hubcap like that and just kind of gently pull back on it until you find the one that's holding it on. Nice job. And there you go. And those are 19, so we'll go ahead and get these broke loose. Wheels off the ground, so we can go ahead and take the wheel off. I can already tell you we're going to be seeing some serious crunch going on here. This might be the wheel that's giving me the thumps. Take this tire off and take a look. Now these are steel wheels, so you want to torque these to 100 foot-pounds. It's been on here a minute. Come on. Alright, fine, we'll turn the steering wheel. Get my sledgehammer and beat it from the backside. Alright guys, we're back. I just greased it up real good with some PB and smacked it a little bit with the hammer. And look at the fun we got going on here, folks. My goodness. Talk about a hot mess. A hot mess express. Let's see. I'll show you the back side of this rotor here. That we can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at. This is the front. This is a lot of it's from sitting. That's the back. Pretty ugly, huh? Yeah, we're definitely going to need a set of rotors on this car. Pads are shot. You can see that clear as day. Pads are shot. Needs bald tie rod end on the front. It's going to need to be replaced because the boot is completely destroyed. So we'll be doing a tie rod end. Get all this spider garbage out of here. Hoses look good. And connections look good. Lines look good. Everything's okay on the hoses. So we won't need to put hoses on it. Let's get this caliper off. Take a look. See if we got full compression on this caliper. We're not going to worry about micing the rotor because the rotor is shot. So the rotor is going to be get replaced. I got my gauge in case the rotor was in decent shape. We could mic it and see if there's enough to cut. But based on the thickness of this right here, this rotor is toasted. So before we can even put this on the road, we're going to have to put brakes on it, which would be different. Yep, it's a 12. Haven't done one that's a 12 yet. That's a American car. Let me see. I think off is this way. This is the kind of work that you want to do whenever you get a new car, or a new to you car. You want to get in there and you want to take it apart. If you're buying a car and you're concerned about the condition of it, you can always take it to a shop, tell them what you want done, and they'll take a look at it for you for a fee. But I'll tell you what, that fee is usually not very much, and if the shop's a really good shop, you can get a really good evaluation. So that's the right direction. Should be. Find out in a minute. Anyway, moving on to our inspection of this automobile. Yeah, these like to spin. If they're spinning, that's a good sign, because then that means they're not frozen in the bore. So you want them to spin. You just take a wrench like I did and just hold it in place. It's 18 millimeter. You just want to kind of get down in here with your screwdriver and just kind of pry back on it just a little bit to where it will come loose, and then we can pry our caliper off of our rotor here. We're going to look at the condition of our pads. Doesn't really mean anything other than the fact we're just going to put brakes on it. I just want to see what kind of where we're going to be going with this car. This car has to pass New York State inspection. So the people that my mother goes to, they are probably the best in her area. So I want to make sure that I give them a good specimen. She's mainly concerned with the emissions aspect of it, because they have emissions in New York State. So they're concerned with, she's concerned with whether or not it'll pass emissions. Maybe that's all we had to do. Yep. Yeah, piston looks good. Bunch of garbage on it from sitting. So let's see if that piston will collapse. Take our pads off and look at our pads real quick. Yeah, our pads are shot. You can see that. I'll show it to you here as soon as I get this one off. See, this pad should have more life on it, but it looks like it's down. See how rough that is? You should never have it rough like that. And the wear indicator's gone. You can just see what used to be the wear indicator. So it definitely is going to have brakes on it before we put it on the road. So take our piston tool here. And have to always reset your piston tool. And then you want to press your lock and then shove it in so it's up against your caliper. And then what we're going to do here is I'm going to press this and feel how hard it is to push in. If it's really hard to push in or it doesn't go in at all, the caliper's frozen and we're going to have to put a caliper on it. But if it pushes in easy, like it should, then the good news on that part is we don't need to put a caliper on it. We just have to put brakes, rotor, and pads on it. So let's see what this caliper is going to do for us. It's pushing in pretty easy. About what I'd expect. Yeah, it's good. We got a good caliper on the passenger side, so we're good there. We're going to check the driver's side too. So, yeah, it looks good in there. So, we're going to put the brakes back on it for right now because I don't have the parts for it. But, if I were to do the brakes on this, I'd take out the bolts in the back that holds the, actually, you know what we ought to do? We ought to find a place to put this. I don't know where we're going to put it. We can hang it up here, I guess. Hey, that works. Put it up there. Try to get these bolts out for this bracket. See if we can get the bracket off and see if we can get the rotor to come loose. That way when it comes time for us to do the rotor, we just slide it off and take it in and get it done. Alright, your bracket bolts are 13. Want to loosen up a little bit. There we go. And get our rotor off, or bracket off. Let's put our socket on our ratchet here and zip those out. And bolts look good. That's a good sign. That's not a good sign. Let's see if it might be because we need an extension. Looks like our sway bar links are okay. Got very little rust under here for a Midwest car so far. I haven't gotten under the back yet to see what the back looks like, but we're going to do that too. Yep, that's what it was. We just needed an extension. Oh, it's still in the car. There we go. Alright, now let's see how hard it is to get this rotor off. First thing you want to do is grab your screwdriver, and when you see rust build up like this, you want to scrape it. Alright, now we're going to take our hammer. It's already been greased in there because I greased it when I took the tire off, so let's see if we can tap this rotor off. Alright, I went and got my rubber mount and I moved you so I could get to the back side of this rotor. I don't want to hit on the tie rod side because there's a speed sensor back there. So hit it on the front. Well, I'll tell you, this thing's on there. Normally they come off by now. I'm gonna have to go hook up the air compressor and get the air gun on it. And we're gonna have to hang that caliper up because that's getting annoying. So I'll be right back. Alright, we got the air compressor out. Yeah, we're gonna get nasty on it now. So face shield on in case this thing flies off. I'm gonna hold this caliper up here for a minute. I forgot to grab a hook when I was in there. All right, let's do this thing. Over there, guys. Gotta be careful. Lights up on some air now. I think so, or that's just fire acting up. See if we can smack it with our mallet now. Look at that, it's coming off. There we go. Yeah, that's the backside in case you couldn't get a better view. There's no way I'm turning that. Absolutely none at all. There's no way that's getting turned. Alright, so we're going to have to get in here and we're going to have to clean this up. That way when we do this for real, bearing looks good. Got your typical GM 3-bolt bearing on it. That's all the heat shield you get. Your wheel speed sensor sits back. Oh, it's part of the hub bearing. So it's a lot like the SUVs where it's integrated into the hub bearing. So we're going to get a rag and clean that up. Took a couple chunks out of it. You can see we were beating on it pretty good. This is what they call a tapered rotor. It's tapered. I don't know why it's tapered. But that's what, because normally your rotor is going to be flat right here on this edge. It's going to come to a good corner. This is a tapered rotor, so I don't know why they tapered it. It's not to fit up into this recess right here because this recess doesn't even match up with that. So, alright, so I need to go get some cleaning supplies and I'll be right back. Alright, got our wire wheel here. Got us a rag. I'm just going to kind of clean off our studs here real quick. Take this in there and we'll just kind of clean it out real good. If we can, I don't know if we can get our wheel in there. There we go. Get it in there. That goes. We're not going to clean the rotor up because it's kind of pointless since we're changing it. But if you were keeping the rotor, you would, well, you could do the same thing on the inside of the rotor. We're just going to clean this up around in here and make sure this is nice and clean so that we can get that rotor back off. As you can see over here, our tie rod end. Show you that real quick. See, if you ever have this is what they call a collapsed tie rod end. Because what has happened is usually when you press these down, this boot will bulge like it's supposed to because it's got grease in it. Well, this boot's rotted out. Grease is gone, so this thing probably rides really bad. I haven't got to driving it very far, so I can't tell you. But we'll do a drivability on it before we change tie rod ends. Because then we're going to have to take it over and have the alignment checked. So, let's go ahead and get this rotor back on here. What we will do though, because in case you are interested in keeping your rotor, actually we're going to do it up on the road on the car because it's easier to do it that way. Just get it to where it's sitting on the end of the studs. You might have to hold it. There we go. And if you want to, you can try to polish that up, but I don't think it's going to do any good. See, and you want your rotor to look like that when it's done, because then when you turn it around, it slides back on like it should. Now sometimes, and the reason I had to use the air hammer on it is sometimes you'll get a rust lip built up around this hub from it being on so long, and it'll cause you some problems. So you want to try to center this the best you can. These are OE rotors, in case you're wondering. So let's go ahead and put our bracket back on. Yeah, our rotors are, our pads are shot, very shot. They're probably the worst brakes I've seen in some time. And I've seen some pretty nasty brakes. Get our top bolt started here. That's the other thing too, if your bolts feel hard to get out and you can get them out, put some spray on them, like PB Blaster or something like that, some sort of lubricant, and then run it back and forth either with a impact gun or electric ratchet or a hand ratchet until you can get those threads cleaned up, because these things, even though they're pretty much a sealed unit, they're going to get, somehow they're going to get stuff in them. So you want to clean all that out while you got it apart. So, and your pads go like this. So, I don't know if I'm going to do a brake video on this car or not. I might, just because, or I might not. Actually, I think I will, because now you've seen the before, you get to witness the after. So, tighten those up by hand here in a minute. Ah, that was my thumb. Take our ratchet here and we'll tighten that up like this. The reason I have the extension on it is so that the ratchet will fit in the back of the wheel, but if you're using a hand ratchet, you can just do it like this. Okay. Put our caliper back on that we pressed. And that should slide right back down on there nice and neat. Oh, one thing you want to do before you put your caliper back on is, oh, these are nice and greased. You want to check the grease in your slides. This one is like ultimately awesome grease. And this one feels good too down here. Just kind of rock it back and forth. This one feels good too. We got to get it resealed though. There we go. Press in and then push back on it and it'll pop it back in where it was, where it needs to be. In case you're wondering how that goes together. And see, you got an anti-rattle clip right here, so when we do the brakes, we're going to change that anti-rattle clip. These push up against that clip. So you want to make sure that your pads are correct, because there's one pad that fits up in here and then there's another one that presses on here, and they're two different levels too, so you can't screw it up. Your tall one goes in the back and your short one goes in the front, otherwise you won't get your caliper on. That much I do know about these cars. I've done brakes on these a few times. Get our bolts started and then we'll get our wrench on it and then we'll zip it down on there. Moving right along. We're gonna have to rotate our steering wheel here just a little bit. Ratchet in there. Yeah. Back to the extension. Go ahead and we'll tighten that up with our ratchet. And put our tire back on, and then we'll go check the driver's side. I don't know if we're going to get it in depth. Well, yeah, we should, because we tore this side apart. We should get the other side down as far as we can, too. That way we can check it out. And this thing has a really nasty thump in it, so I'm guessing it's got a warped rotor. And if I was a bet man, I'd say it was probably this one. So I'm not going to tighten these up too tight because they're going to have to come back apart again. So all I'm going to do is just tighten them up enough to where it doesn't fall off the car in case I have to move it. Alright, we'll grab our tire. We got all of our surfaces cleaned up. Our rotor is moving freely now. So this side's ready for work. Put our tire back on. I'm not going to torque this wheel because we're going to have to take it back off, but I am going to tighten it up enough if I have to move the car. And we're not going to put the hubcap back on it either. We're going to leave the hubcap off till we're done. So what we'll do is we'll put the hubcap in the trunk. That way we don't lose it. One other thing we're going to do when we're done, since this wheel was so hard to get off, I'm going to put some anti-seize around that hub bearing. That way if this tire has to come off again, it won't be so hard. So we'll do that. Alright, that's it for this side. I'm going to let the car down and we'll see you on the driver's side. Alright, now we're on the driver's side. I was thinking about maybe painting that, but we'll see where the wind takes us. Now, passenger side looked horrible, so I'm not expecting a whole lot out of this side. I do need to repaint these caps though, because they faded really bad, because this is the side to face the sun. So I'm not surprised. I highly don't recommend this unless you need to. Alright. Yeah, well, it's about what you'd expect, isn't it? Let's go ahead and find our spray. Should have brought our spray over. We didn't. See if this wheel has any issues coming off. It's off the ground, so we don't have to worry about that. See if it comes off. We'll get the air hammer and persuade it. I noticed something else about this car. 3 of the 4 tires match. The one that doesn't is the front passenger. So yeah, it's go ahead and knock that loose real quick before we take caliper apart. See, after you've done one and you figured out what the car is going to do, you can basically predict how you're going to have your day go. This one went pretty typical. Make sure you get your wrench involved. Brought a hook this time so we can hook our caliper. Ah, wrong direction. That don't. That ain't where we gotta go. Yeah, see, now it's going. Went the wrong way. This hose looks good too. So I don't think we're going to be having to put brake hoses on this car. And you see this bushing right here? You see the, let me show you this something here. You see how that's all together? That's what you want it to look like. But usually when I do tie rod ends, I do them in pairs. So even though this is in good shape, it's got a little bit of dry rot along the bottom edge, we're changing that one too. So that way we have a good set of tie rod ends. What causes one side to go out faster than the other is basically your road conditions where you live. If you live in an area and they don't take care of their roads and you're hitting a lot of potholes with the passenger front wheel, as is what happens here in Indiana, that's what causes your tie rod ends to fail more on one side than the other. The next town over from where I live are notorious for really crappy roads. So it's not uncommon that I'll change out a passenger side tie rod end and not a driver's side. Or you'll have a premature failure of one side versus the other. It's all because of the roads. So, little information for you there on that one. Let's see how hard this caliper is going to be to come off. Oh, it looks like it's going to pop off pretty nicely. Let's find our screwdriver and we'll see if we can get in here and we'll pry our caliper off. Oh, there it goes. That's coming. Ah! And it just stuck. And you'll get that. Looks pretty good. We didn't damage our piston. We got a live one though on the spider front. We'll take our front caliper pad out here. See, this one's shot too. See? But the good news is we got even wear. So each side, both sides look the same. We don't have one side looking gross, more gross than the other. We'll put our piston press on here and we'll see if this one presses in good. Ooh. Yeah, that's pressing pretty good. Yep. We got 2 good pistons. That's a good sign. I forgot to mention this is a budget build, so whenever my budget allows, we're going to build it. So my mother doesn't need this until next summer, so we've got several months left before I have to be worried about taking this up to her. And all she cares about is whether or not it passes New York State emissions and inspection, which it will, because her truck did, that I built for her a couple years ago. So, wish I would have YouTubed that video for you. That was a good one. Had an 88 Dodge Dakota LE. It was originally a 4-cylinder truck, but dealer changed it to a V6 because that's what the customer wanted. And that thing was a mess when I got it. Oh my goodness. Not supposed to be that tight. Yeah, that truck was a mess. It was the freeze plug in the driver's side head had blown a hole in it about the size of your about the size of the end of your finger, and it was leaking out the back of that to where it was overheating. I've never seen a freeze plug go out that way before. They don't want to come out that way. This one will. So I did the heads on it, put new head gaskets in it, put new spark plugs in it, redid the head gaskets, redid all the freeze plugs front and rear on that truck. Got all the problems fixed with it that the last guy said he had. Drove it up to my mother's house, $300 in gas, because it's got the 3-speed transmission in it, automatic. Had I found her an 89 and not an 88, it would have had the 4-speed in it. It probably would have been cheaper to drive, but she drives that all over the place. And last winter, she had problems with her truck starting. She lives by herself up there, so she doesn't have, you know, a whole lot of people that can come check on her. And so she made a comment to me that she kind of wished she would have had a backup car in order to, you know, in the case that her truck didn't run, she could at least either get the truck jump started or take the car into town, depending on what she was doing. And my neighbor had this car for a long time, stopped driving it, and I've been bugging her for the last few years to buy it from her, and she finally said, I'll sell it to you. And that's where we're at today. So, got our caliper bracket off. Our rotor's going to come off, so that's a good sign. Alright, let's check the back side of this one. You know, this is what they call delamination, is caused by road salt. Yes. If you ever watch a video by Eric over there at South Main Auto, he lives in New York, and they get a lot of road salt. There's a few videos he's done where he's gone to do a brake job on a car and the front of the rotor looks just like this. This is actual physical damage to the rotor. Cannot be repaired. You cannot turn a rotor that's been delaminated. Cannot be done, because it'll just chip and fragment. See, this rotor, this hub looks really good, so we're just going to wipe it off. This looks like it might have been replaced at one point. And of course, we got our little shield back here. So we know for a fact that both rotors are causing our grinding noise. So we don't have to clean them up because they came apart real nice. Try to line your rotor up inside the center like that. If you can't, that's fine. Just try. And then on our caliper bracket, since we didn't do it on the other side, you want them to turn. See, this feels real good, so we don't have to worry about servicing this. All we'll do is we'll just clean this up a little bit better. Our threads, they got some garbage in them, but we'll spray those out. Well, actually, let's do that now while we got it apart. Put some spray in there. And do it right here so you can see. Just kind of put a little bit of spray in there. There you go. And then run your bolt through it, and then it'll clean it up. Let's see. These pads have been on here a while. So, put our caliper back together here. These are non-directional. I know there's some cars that we've done where you have to pay attention to where the bolt goes. This is not one of them. You just have to get the damn thing started. Or at least try to. Good thing about GM, that I like about GM, is when you go to put their brakes on, you can actually see what you're doing. A lot of manufacturers, your import cars mainly, you can't really get back in there to see much. Every GM I've ever done brakes on, it's been a pretty good experience so far. And see that? We greased them up, they went together easier. Sometimes you have to do that. We're not going to check the back brakes today. Those are your basic drum brakes. I'll do that before I drive it up there, because I don't know if we're going to drive this up or if I'm going to borrow a trailer and trailer it up to her. I do know we're going to be doing some driving on it. We're going to be doing some bug work, if you want to call it that, where we work out the bugs in it, because, you know, any car that sits, you're going to have bugs. Especially because, you know, cars are not meant to sit, they're meant to be driven. So, I plan to drive this over the winter so that I can report back to her and let her know that, you know, either this is going to be a good winter car or it sucks nuts. You know, one of the two. I'm preferring that it doesn't suck nuts because, you know, it kind of defeats the purpose of her having the car to begin with. Get our socket here so we can tighten up our wheel, our brake caliper. Gotta find my wrench that I had. That's the only thing I don't like about working on the ground, is everything gets tucked up under your legs. Then you're trying to find everything. Turns it into a real big pain. Try to get your wrench on your bolt. Always remember also when you do a brake job, I think I've said this before, pump your brake before you start your car. Oh, I'm going to show you something too. I'm going to show you why you never add brake fluid to a vehicle until after you've inspected the brakes. I'm about to show you that here in just a second. You know, these tires are not going to work for the winter. We're going to have to probably put tires on it before we drive it in the winter, because these are basically almost racing slicks. Kind of a good thing we're doing this inspection today. That, and I don't have it. I got a car coming in later today, but it's just an oil change. So this is my slow season. So we get a lot of projects done this time of year. I want to thank you guys for coming back and subscribing. Appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because we got a bunch of stuff that we do here. Still working on getting them. Still working on getting the money together so I can get the parts needed for the 1,000 subscriber video, which you guys have been waiting for. Again, I appreciate your patience. Drive those on home. And like I said earlier, we're going to put the tire in the trunk. Then let this car down. Then I'm going to show you guys something that I found. We're going to find out where it goes. Now, if you're a Grand Am person, you might be able to answer this question for me. What is this? What is this? Is this a block heater, or is that a aftermarket thing? What do we got here? I know it goes up under the dash, under the front cover, so we're going to take the front cover off, and we're going to take a look under there. So I'm going to go grab my stuff and we'll be right back. Almost forgot to show you guys. Alright, remember at the beginning of the video we checked the brakes and they were in between the min-max line. Well, we pushed in our brake calipers. Now look at it. We are at max. So that is why you don't want to add brake fluid to a car until after you check the brakes, because if the brakes, this is an indicator of your brakes, okay? So when your front brakes are going to be bad, or they're, you know, worn out, you're going to get close to the min line, okay? Because your front brakes are the more hydraulically run brake, unless you have discs on the back. And then if you have discs on the back, then you'll go like down to here on the front, and then down to here if all four wheels are bad. But I just wanted to show that to you before I forgot. And that's why, I mean, you want to open it up and see if there's fluid in it. If there's fluid in it, don't add to it, okay? Because then the next step is going to be getting to the wheel and checking the surface and make sure you have enough surface. So, but just wanted to show you that real quick. Alright, so we're going to take this front cover off real quick. So we got some clips we have to pick up. That back together. I'm going to set my clips up here on the cowl. This one here got a pop. We're missing one, but I guess that's typical. Any car that comes into a shop will break one and they won't replace it. As long as the piece doesn't fall off, nobody will ever know, right? I'll know. 'Cause I'm usually the guy that gets it after that so-called shop breaks the things off. Let's see, these are Christmas trees back here. Those you got to get down underneath. Get down under there like that and just kind of put your hand over top. There you go. Pop that out. You put your hand over top so that when it launches it doesn't go very far. Otherwise it'll launch and you'll lose it forever. Got another one over here on this side we got to get to. That comes in from the back. Trying to get my tool in there nice and flat so it doesn't break the head off. These ones are a pain in the neck to get to. Ah, see, that one didn't want to come out. Sometimes you gotta, there we go, got that one out. Put that over here in our collection. Pick this up. This goes under, in case you're wondering. Don't ever put it on top. It's underneath. I think putting it on top makes it look stupid anyway. So let's get this top cover off. Set that up here. Now we can see what we're looking at here, or what we're trying to find. Alright, so here's the wire right here. Here's the wire. It looks like it goes over here. It goes up under the headlight. Looks like we got to pull the headlight assembly out to get to it. So we got pull tabs. Let me grab a pair of pliers. We got pull tabs. Okay, well that's good. Let's put those screws back in then. See, pull tabs. We got another one right here. Alright, and we gotta push this slide out like this. And then this side slides out like that. Oh, okay. Looks like our two wires deadhead into our, what is this? Looks like a turn signal bulb. Okay, that's weird. Deadheads into a turn signal bulb. So it's not a block heater. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to get them. It'll do little stupid things off of there because I had them on my Focus. If you do it careful enough, you won't break the wire. Let me get you in a better position so you can see what we're about to do here, because this is something that you should know about. I hate these stupid little connectors. They are the worst thing ever created. I hate them with a fiery passion. These little clips right here are like Satan on earth, I swear to God. I mean, yeah, they serve a purpose. Purpose is to piss me off. Alright. So if you do this carefully, you won't break the wire. Spread the wire open like that. And then you take and you push the wire down outside of the clip. I was successful on my Focus and I didn't have to change out a wire. They had it hooked to a fuel injection wire on my Focus. Because somebody put in an aftermarket cruise control and didn't know what they were doing. Because the car came factory with cruise control. All they had to do was go out to the junkyard and get. And there's that one. Our wire's still intact. I'm gonna have to put some tape on it, but it's intact. And come over here and we'll do it again. Pull that open. And take a screwdriver and you open up the clamp. See how I'm doing this? Open up the clamp with your screwdriver. And then you take your pick and you get up above your wire and you push down on your wire. Pulls it right out, and if you do it careful enough, depending on what the age of the wire, you won't break your wire off. And we didn't break our wires. And to show that we didn't break our wires, I will hit the 4-way button and we'll see that wire blink. Or not. Probably because that's not the turn signal wire. What is that little light? Is that a marker light? Let's see what happens when we turn on our light bulbs. I know. It comes on with our park lights. It's a marker light, okay. It's a marker light. That's interesting. They had a wire hooked to a marker light. Why would they do that? Especially because this shouldn't have a marker light right here. Well, yeah, okay, well. Got that figured out. Let's go ahead and get these wires pulled out of here now. We figured out what they did. See that? I don't go for stuff like this on my cars. Especially because that's how car fires start. Somebody wiring something up. I guess whoever had this before, the neighbor girl had the car, had some sort of aftermarket lights on this car. That could be also why this bottom panel here is missing. I'm going to try to unwrap the wire off of here. And then we're going to pull that wire up, and then we can put our headlight back together. There, got that piece of crap out of there. So right size wire, but wrong application. Put our headlight back together. While we're out here, we'll clean it up a little bit. I'm gonna try to find some new lenses. So, pick your headlight up here. This fits through this hole right here. You see, it's got to line up with that notch right there, and then that comes through like that, and this pushes down, and we got our other retainer over here that we got to put back in, which goes over here on this corner. All right, I got our headlight reinstalled, so let's go ahead and get our front valance put back together here, or our under hood cover, whatever you want to call it, our bumper cover, if you will. Tuck it up under the fenders, and then you scoot it up under here like this. Makes it go a lot better. And then make sure you get it over your bumper tops for your hood. And then you want to line it up, put your push pins back in, and you're done. Just keep in mind that one of your push pins is missing. Unless that doesn't matter, in which case just put your push pins back in. And see, that don't want to go in there, so we'll put it in this one. Put our car back together here. So that's all we're going to do on this one today. We're going to wrap it up here. I got some other stuff I need to get done. So let this be an introduction to this car that we're going to be working on over the next few months. We're not going to do, well, we'll do little bits and pieces of it. We'll kind of throw it in with other things that we get when we, you know, stuff that we work on when we have the time to. So, but tell me what you think, and we'll call it done here. Here, I guess I'm missing 2 push pins. because we're supposed to have one on that corner and one on that corner. So that's what we're going to be doing when we go out to the junkyard next. So I'm going to clean up, and we'll see you on the next one.